Okay, so the we're getting to the good part now, because now I get to speak about the unique mechanism that we came up with to really solve this problem of the devil being in the way of creating our God life, right? The 7 levels of devils that come in the way of the 7 levels of heaven on earth. And so the thing that I'm so happy and grateful right now to share with you is something that I downloaded, something that came to me through Source, and really was just an absolute, like, it was genius. That's the best way I can describe it. And this was the 7 keys of truth to the God life. And the way that it works is that every single one of these keys is a key of truth that will set you free at every single level and unlock that next level. Because what you need to unlock a lock is a key. And so we're going to give you the keys to every single one of these levels and help you understand at what time, what point that you need to leverage this key to unlock that next level. And it's really, really simple. Like, it's not overcomplicated. It's all going to make sense. So make sure you follow along, take some notes, and really understand what the keys are that you need right now to unlock the level where you're experiencing the challenge and the struggle as to where you are currently. And so the first level is where you can unlock the key of spiritual connection. The key of spiritual connection, because what this does is it puts you into a place of being in alignment, right? That's what I was saying about you being out of alignment with truth, out of alignment with your purpose, more specifically. So if you're out of alignment, then that means that your heart has been put a lock inside of that, and you need to be going back into and stepping back into your purpose, putting that attention back into your purpose, that full focus, that full passion, giving it everything that you've got with your heart, right? Because the heart is responsible for 95%. The subconscious is responsible for 95% of everything that we do. And so if you have that key of spiritual connection, then what you are doing is you're letting the divine into your heart through introspection. And those certain things that I'm going to speak about in the future videos that will actually help you in getting the keys of spiritual connection and doing it so simply. It's not going to be a difficult thing, or I've got to look on the internet, I've got to go and find some coaches or whatever. Every single one of these keys we're going to go through in this course, and you're going to have the exact exercises that you're going to be able to use so that you can unlock these parts of the locks within you and within your vehicles. So that's the key of spiritual connection that puts you into alignment. The next key is what we call the key of intellect. And so the way the key of intellect works is that now you've unlocked that feminine part of yourself. It's about unlocking the masculine part. And that's the logical mind. That's where you are learning and becoming a lot more intellectual, a lot more intelligent, a lot more rational in how you can make decisions, which is very important, especially in long-term decision making. And when you've unlocked the key of intellect, the only way that we can really do this is through becoming a great student. You have to be, do, to have. So you have to first become a great student, but then start actually studying, which is the doing, the activity, and then to have the results of the key of intellect. And so that's the next part that you've got to get to. And once you have them, you have the marriage of the two together, the marriage of the conscious and the subconscious. Now it creates the superconscious. And once you have that superconscious, then you get to experience from that as a knock-on effect the next part, which is growth. And you get to experience the growth when you've unlocked what we call the key of courage. But you don't just get the key of courage before you've had the key of intellect and the key of spiritual connection. And the way that the key of courage works is that there is a comfort zone that we all have and that we all create for ourselves. And that comfort zone is the same thing as saying it's the known area, the place where you're familiar with, and then there's the unknown area. And so every single time we step out into the unknown, we step out into the darkness, we get to experience what the chaos is like. Every single time that we step out into that place where we have a fear around that because we don't know what it's like, then we experience growth. We've probably all seen that graph before, the fear zone, the growth zone, the comfort zone, all of those things. Well, that's what happens when you experience the key of courage and you unlock that lock within your guts. Now you have the guts. Now you have the courage to go take action and to move forwards. So that's the key of courage. And then the next one is what we call the key of commitment, right? The key of commitment, because like I said before, the devil is within the fuel tank and you have to put all of your fuel into one vehicle in order for it to take off to where it wants to go to. So if you're putting in an amount that is comfortable because of the number, whatever it is, let's say that there's a unit of fuel, which is 1,000 units, then if you're putting an amount, which is what you put in previous, only 10 units of fuel because you're used to putting that into your own body or into the car. If you're putting in 10 units, then be like, okay, let me go put in 10 units into this next one. Let me go put in 10 units into this next one. You are never going to be able to have the full fuel tank fueled, ready to take off, or it's going to take years and years and years and years and years in order for it to take off. And even then, it doesn't even take off because that fuel needs replacing. So in terms of the way that you want to have it to go is that you just go all in with that particular thing and being committed. And the best analogy that I can give here that will explain a little bit more as to what you have to really look at this to understand how this works is that your success is dependent upon how much you're willing to have the right foundation set in place, in the same way that if you're going to marry another person, then you have to make sure that at first there is a commitment that's been made. And even before that, the precursor to that, to being married, what people don't understand is that your singleness is more important than your togetherness. So who you are as an individual is going to determine what your relationship is going to be like. So if you have baggage on your own, then it's not as if being in the relationship is going to remove the baggage, is going to be the antidote to the problem. Being in the relationship is just going to expose the baggage even more. And so what really you want to do is you want to work on yourself as a single before you start to go into being within a community of people or within a marriage. So the first thing you got to do is you got to work on your own connection to a spiritual entity first. And then once you've done that, you got to work on the key of intellect and studying. And then when you've done that, you better got the key of courage and growth. So then after all three of those have been unlocked, now you have the right to be spending your time with another person, right? And only once you've unlocked these three things, because otherwise you're going to have to work on yourself in that relationship. There's going to be a lot of back and forth, a lot of bullshit, a lot of arguments, which is why there's like a 60% divorce rate. And you don't want to be doing that. You want to be the one who knows from the very beginning that this thing is going to work. This marriage is going to work. And you can have that certainty when you've worked on yourself as a single person instead of a double or together. So when it comes to marriage, like commitment is the first thing, right? You got to have an engagement. You got to have an engagement where you put the ring on the finger. And in terms of the commitment that you'll have is you giving the ring and then saying that I'm going to pay for this ring, and you're gonna invest into not only that, but invest into the wedding itself, right? You're gonna invest into bringing people together, all to have this huge ceremony. People spend thousands on their weddings. I'm not saying that you have to do that to have a very marriage. What I'm saying is that there has to be a commitment of your time, commitment of your energy. And what really commitment means, if you look up the definition, is removal of freedom to act. So what that essentially means, if going back to the analogy of the fuel tank, if I'm committing to one fuel tank in one vehicle, then all of my fuel is going into one, meaning that I no longer have the freedom to go and put my fuel into other vehicles. So if somebody comes with me and tries to whisper the shiny object syndrome, the devil of shiny object syndrome in the form of a person or in the form of another opportunity, I'm like, well, I cannot give a fuck about your other opportunities. I cannot care about that. I cannot put any attention towards them. I cannot put any fuel towards them because I've already given mine away. And that's the place that you can only get to through commitment, through committing your time, your energy, your money, everything. It has to go all into one first. Put everything that you've got now as you have into one thing. That is the key of commitment and how that works. We're going to speak a lot more about that in the rest of the videos as well for every single one of these keys. But that's just giving you a little bit of a taste as to what that's going to be like. Then there's the key of systemization, right? And so the key of systemization is when you're actually in the marriage, when you're actually in the vehicle. Now you have to have the responsibility of being the driver. Now you have the responsibility of being the husband, being the wife. It's not just about getting married and then that's it. It's about having a marriage. That's the idea. And so with the key of systemization, it's about dancing with the chaos in order to cultivate order. That's what this is about, because it's going to be chaotic. It's going to be really tough. You're going to have differences of opinions in a marriage. You're going to have in a vehicle, you're going to have certain things. It's going to be like, wow, what's all this going on? These are just random buttons. I have no idea how to touch these in the right order or whatever. That's the chaos. And so you have to be able to merge with the chaos. You have to be able to dance with the chaos and become the person who can put this chaos into being organized. And that's what happens with the key of systemization and doing that yourself. After you've had a great marriage, the next thing that you're going to be thinking about is, okay, now we're working well together in harmony as a couple. Well, what if we now had a child? What if we now had another person that we can bring into this and we can teach them all the things that we've learned in our life and pass that on to them? So then you start working up with a child, and now you create a family. You might have a few children. You're passing on the knowledge, you're passing on all the things that you've learned. And so this is what we call the key of duplication. The key of duplication is where you are being able to have more productivity, right? Because I'm thinking back to like what it was like me growing up, my family, my parents, they would make me do certain things in the house, like cooking and cleaning, because then it takes off a little bit of the responsibility off of them so they can focus on the bigger things, the bigger picture. So the key of duplication is that it allows you to get your time back, and then also to focus on some of the things that you really enjoy, or the things that will allow you to become even more productive, even more impactful. So that's the importance of the key of duplication. Is now it's about the reproduction of your personal results through teaching other people. So it's not just about reproducing yourself biologically, it's about literally reproducing yourself spiritually as well, who you are at the core. And then the next one is the final one, which allows you to go from not just having a family, but now having a community of people who are outside of your blood family, but you're now a non-traditional family. It's now like your extended family, of where these people also want to learn from you. These people also can have contribution from you, as that you're helping them, providing them opportunity, providing them resources. And you get to experience this community when you unlock what we call the key of contribution, right? So the key of contribution is simply pouring from your abundance into other people's causes. Because if you have a lack of something, this is what I see a lot of people do. They come to us and they're like, I want to create generational wealth. I want to be able to give to charities. I want to be able to set up mosques and churches and these different things that are going to really help people who are homeless and people who need the help the most. Like, great. But where are you going to pour from? Who are you going to have to convince to go and contribute towards the cause that's important for you? Because that's what's going to have to happen, is that they're going to have to pour from their abundance, but you don't get to pour from your own. And so my belief is that every single one of us, if we have that desire to help the world in some unique way, then we should have also got a responsibility to have an abundance that we can pour from. And then from our abundance, we can pour abundance. We don't have to pour lack, right? It's not just about giving a little to one or two people. I believe that really people who have the most amount of the God life and the resources, the prosperity, the abundance, then we are the ones who will be able to impact the most and contribute the most to the world, to not just our own families, to our non-traditional families, and to people who are extended without. So that's how we create that real residual impact. So that's the key of contribution. It's the final one. And there we have it. The 7 keys to the God life. I came up with this system, this unique mechanism, and I really do want you to understand now that when I first started out my journey, I never had anything like this. I never had something that was so structured, that was just so simple, so straightforward, so straight to the point. It made sense. It connected with me on so many different levels. Like, I never had this, and I just want you all to understand like how lucky you really are to have it all laid out in step by step like this, and know that from the very foundations, like, you could have that successful marriage. This can genuinely help you with your marriage. It can help you with like going from A to B if you wanted to. But what is really going to help you out with is experiencing your God life at every single level, and just, having a different level of joy, fulfillment, success, abundance, prosperity, heaven in every single way that you can think of. And I'm super excited for you to start implementing these keys, to start learning a little bit more about how we can implement them, because we're going to go into the details. This is not just going to be like a thing of teaching you what they are. You have now invested into yourself, and I'm going to go through every single one of them as to how you can implement them, what exercises we can be doing, and it's going to make so much sense. You're going to understand exactly where you were going wrong, and you'll be able to take this with you for the rest of your life. So yeah, we'll go on to the next video as well. The next series of modules where we're going to go through a little bit more depth as to how to be utilizing some of these keys from the very foundations all the way up to the top layers of key contribution. So yeah, excited for you. We'll see you on the next